Hello, I'm Mr. B-Bates1 and welcome back to another how-to video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can turn the default NPC into a shop. That's right, I'm not talking about the basic dialogue features, no. I'm talking about a proper, bona fide shop. Restock mechanics, custom items, custom lore, you name it, all in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, using a behavior pack. You would not believe the power of the trading system. I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to show you how we can do this. But before we do get into that, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. I'm on the road to 500 now. It's like 480 odd at the time of this recording. That's really appreciate it. Thank you very much for everyone, and hopefully we'll get past 500 and on to 1,000. Anyway, less about subscribing to the channel. Let's carry on in today's video. Now, normally what I like to do is I like to give you guys a little showcase first of it in action, and then I like to show you how we actually do it in the background. So, it's tradition. Let's do it. Oh, hang on a sec. Herb, I've been invited to the PvP arena, Herb. Look at me. I've got nothing on me. We need to get stuff sorted out quickly. Help me out here, Herb. Wolf, you're killing me here. Wooden tools, man. Herb. It's gonna take a minute, mate. Wooden tools. Alright, Herb, now we're near enough got everything. I need food, Herb. Right, that's it, Herb. I'm ready, mate. Let's go. PvP arena, off we go. We're going to smash this time. Block back. Oh, hello. Oh. Okay. Ooh. Blockman player secrets? Wait a minute. Wait. I'm doing it. It's mine. You. Oh, I cannot. You're wonderful. What's this book? Minecraft player secrets. Please note, if you are not the intended recipient, you shouldn't be reading this book. It contains secrets you shouldn't know or hear about. That's what's right. Name Blockman. Height 2 blocks. Now that you've seen it in action, let's take a look at how it was achieved. Now for this demo, I decided to use the inbuilt NPC. However, you can apply the same thing to any game character, whether it's custom or standard. As long as you set it up right, any mob can have a shop attached to it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how we set up the trades first, and then I'm going to show you how we apply it to a mob and how we assign it to them in-game. So what we're actually doing here is that we're actually taking the trading system that the villagers use in-game, and we're going to utilize that to create our custom trades, and then we're going to attach that to a mob of our choosing. But as always, we all need to start from the very beginning, and that simply is setting up your behavior pack. So to do that, we're going to go to the desktop. So I already have my folder laid out here with my manifest and my pack icon in, all ready to start. So to start off this pack then, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add in a folder. And this folder we are going to call trading. Now in this trading file, this is where we are going to store our trades. Now the trades themselves are going to be stored in the form of a JSON file. Now the easiest way to do this, now I'm old school, I like to do it the old fashioned way, so for me, I simply just create a text document in the folder and then I rename it to .json. However, if you're using applications such as Bridge or Visual Studio or Visual Code or things like that, in a lot of cases you don't have to do this. You can just create it inside the app and then save it as a file later. So now that our file is ready, it's time to look at the type of trading system that we want. Now in the demonstration that I used, I actually showcased 3 different types of trading system. Now first of all, we had Wolf's Weapons. Now this was a tier-based system that required XP to unlock the next section. Now this was a simple case of where it was a single purchase per item. Once you purchased every item in that category, the next category became available. The second one I showcased was Andy's Armor. Now while this was also a tier based system, this was actually slightly different, where this actually had a randomized trading system. Now so not only were the items randomized, but also was the durability. And to top it off, we also had random enchants as well on the armor for the actual netherite armor towards the end. Now in the showcase itself, my character had leggings, but as you can see in these ones, if we assign the same shot to the different NPCs, we can actually see that there's different things like chest plates and things like that as well. Now the final type of demonstration was with Freddy and O. It's just a simple straight tier system. There was no limit to the purchases on it, so you could just purchase it forever. And it's also, I used it to create things like custom items and custom books. Now these are just 3 different types of trading systems that I used, and this is just basically done by changing the JSON around within the file to create the different kind of things that I want, which we're going to cover that in a moment, some of the basics of what you can sort of achieve and set up. But basically you can set up any scenario. Now I am old school, so I do tend to use basic editors to handwrite in the JSON, but if you're not fully comfortable with that, I did actually find a website online that does help you set up the basic trading system. It's got a really nice interface, as you can see here on the screen, and it does some of the basic stuff. However, there are some things that it doesn't do. For example, the randomized items with durability and stuff like that, it doesn't handle that sort of JSON. But other than that, just to get a basic trading system off the go, you can use the website as well. So what does a simple trade system look like? Well, this is how it looks for a basic setup. It will always have a want and a gives. You can't just have a gives or a wants with nothing, unfortunately, because it won't work. So in this case, then, what I've done is I've said that I want emeralds, and in return we will give golden carrots. In terms of the quantity, you will notice that I'm using the min and max feature, but if you don't want to use this, if you just want to put a flat price in there, just simply put a single digit in there as opposed to this. And obviously this is just for a single item, but if you do want to add more than one item into here, not using a tier system, but just a straight flat one item, one after another, then you could add a comma here, and then you would simply just repeat the next item you want afterwards. And in game, that would look something like this. Now if you didn't want the items all just listed together as a group and you wanted to split them up into the tiers, then you would simply put a comma here instead. And then you would copy the entire tier system again, creating the next options. And then in game, this is how that would look. Now by default it's locked, but as soon as you purchase one of the items, it unlocks it. This is because we've not set any options, so therefore Minecraft is just applying the default settings. So what are the options then? Now most of the options are going to sit just after the give section. The very basic I think that you should have are these items, depending on the sort of setup that you've got. Let's take a look at each one of these. We have a max use. Now if you have this as -1, that means infinite. Now the trader XP is the amount of XP that's going to go to the NPC. As the NPC builds up XP, once it hits the required amount for the next tier will unlock. We'll cover more on that in just a moment. The reward XP is basically just to reward you, the player, or the player who's purchasing it. Now by default, it's on and it will reward it, but you can't actually set what XP it is. It's whatever the default XP villagers get. I think it's like 1 to 3 XP per purchase or something like that. I think it is. I'm not entirely sure the exact figures for that bit. But for the most point, if you don't want the player to get XP, just set this to false. And then the final part is the multiplier. Now the multiplier is basically just inflation. If you're using the restock mechanics and you want inflation to occur if someone's purchasing items over a longer period, same item, you can simply use this one here. Now I find the base of 0.5 being a pretty good base for inflation. Obviously you can adjust as you need to. Now going back to the trader XP part, like I said before, this is useful if you're using groups and you want players to purchase so many items or earn so much XP before unlocking the next group. Now this actual option is sort of coupled with a different option, and that is the total XP required, which is placed here, just above the trades in the next group. And this will tell Minecraft that the NPC will need to have this amount of XP before this group will be unlocked. So obviously in this example then it's saying for each purchase you get 10 XP, so therefore if you purchase one thing you'll have enough XP to unlock the next item. Now that the trades are all set up, it's time to make our items a bit more fancy. Now this is done by the use of functions. These sit within the gifts section. Now there is a lot to go through in terms of functions, so I don't think we're going to be able to go through them all in this video here. It'll make the video far too long for that. So what I've done is I've actually placed a link in the description that takes you to the Microsoft Documents page for Minecraft. This actually lists all the available functions that you can use. For this demonstration though, I am just going to show you a couple of them. That being lore, custom enchants and custom names, and obviously the custom book that I made in the showcase. So the first one that we're going to look at then is custom names and lore. So these tend to be used together, I find. This is how you would sort of use that function, simply by specifying the function name and then the value you want to pass into that function, and this will generate a name and a lore for you. Now for the lore, each line that you specify will be a new line in the lore. I'm not sure if there's a maximum of how many there. You might end up going off the screen if there's too much, so just bear that in mind. This is also a good example of where you can use more than one function. In terms of specific enchants, you can also specify this using the specific enchant function, and you can simply pass in each enchant you want and the level, just as you see here on the screen. There is also a function as well that allows you to create random enchants, which is what I used for the armor ones. I'm not going to show you how to do that one, but you can see that one on the functions page. You just simply specify that, and you can set a level, and it will just automatically come back with an enchant. There's not much to that one. And lastly then, there is the book. Now this one is a bit bigger obviously because we're specifying various elements within this, but taking a look at this you can see we're setting things like the author, the title and the pages. Now each line that you create here will be each page in the book, so obviously the more lines you got the bigger the page. You can specify any content you want, new lines and things like that, and obviously these weird symbols here are emojis, which is what creates the Minecraft symbol in the book. Honestly though, go through and play with the functions. There's some really cool stuff in there. You can set some really cool custom items with this. It's quite fun. So now that we have all the trays set up then, it's time to apply it to our NPC. Now as mentioned before, I'm using the default NPC, so what I'm going to do is I've taken the default NPC file and I've rearranged it so that we have component groups and events and things like that, because the default NPC doesn't have this. But obviously if you have your own custom entity, in most cases you probably already got events and things like that and component groups in place already. So because I'm using the NPC, then the first thing I did is I took the NPC component and I shifted it into component groups, giving it the same name. Now the reason for this is that we're going to want to remove this when we don't want, because we don't want the dialog box, we want the trade box instead. And the only way to get rid of that is to remove this component, and we can do that through component groups. And what I've also done as well is I've also added a spawned entity event. Now the reason why I've added this is that so because we've shifted the NPC from component to component groups, we need to make sure that when the entity first spawns in, it still assigns the default behavior for the NPC where it displays the dialog box. So essentially all we're doing is just adding this event to make sure that it keeps its behavior. But now that's in place then, it's time to set up the actual groups that are going to give us the trading. So the first one that I've got here is just a group called Trader. Now these are the basic components required for any NPC to trade with a player. In the showcase I actually had several different shops or trades to trade with. You don't want to write these out all the time, so I kept this as a separate, and then I just had different component groups for the final sort of trade setting part, which we'll look at now. So then the final part here in the component groups is to add the actual group called Food Trader. So this is what specifies the actual trade that we set up just a moment ago. As you can see, was providing a display name and a path for that as well, where we've saved it within our behavior pack. So now these are in the component groups, we need to set up an event so that they can be triggered. So for these events then, I have called them Become Food Trade. Now this basically adds the basic trader group and the custom trade for the food trader, and it also removes the NPC group as well because we don't want that anymore. So now these have all been added then, the file is all ready. Now we should be able to just spawn in our NPC and check that it's still got the default behavior and then change its behavior to a trader, and that's achieved with this command. It's event entity @e type NPC. I've just done R1 because I've got a few around me, and then B become food trader. This is the name that I gave in the JSON. Now the good thing with this trade system is that you can set any items, whether it's from mods. It doesn't have to be vanilla items. It's quite a lot of flexibility to the game, I think. It just makes your adventure maps a lot more funner. Now there is one last final thing just to sort of show you as well, is the restock mechanic. Now the restock mechanic itself is actually quite easy to implement. It's one component group, where you simply just add and remove to the NPC, which is this here. And as soon as you add it to an NPC, it restocks any trades that it has. And obviously you can do this via a command using the same command that we just mentioned before with the enter the event command, but triggering the restock, or you can actually have it on a schedule, and then so therefore when it gets to a certain point in the day, the entity will automatically restock just like Villagers does. So once you get your head around the time frame, you can add as many as you want. Now in this example I've just added one, which is very early, first thing in the morning. But basically you can just add some additional events down the bottom just to sort of cover this. And what I've sort of done in this example is I've added the schedule to the NPC so that it triggers it automatically as part of the initial switch over. Now I appreciate there is actually a lot of coding and whatnot that's gone on screen today, and there's quite a lot to take in. So what I've actually got is there is a link in the description below that takes you to my GitHub page, and that will show the JSON and everything that we've used in the showcase today, so you can see for yourself how it was actually put together, and you can sort of translate it in your own time. And there we go. That is how we add trades or custom shops to NPCs in Minecraft Bedrock Edition. If you've gotten this far in the video, thank you very much for sticking around and watching it all. I appreciate it very, very much. Uh-oh, about to get me. I think I need to go. There's too many here. Anyway, thank you for watching. Goodbye.